How's it going, people? Welcome back to Casual Gamer Reviews. Today's game is different from my usual tastes as I branched out into the co-op world with It Takes Two, developed by Hazelight Studios. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content. I played It Takes Two split screen and with my partner the entire time. It took us approximately 16 hours to complete this game, reviewed on Xbox Series X. Normally I would start a review by talking about the gameplay and giving an overview of what to expect from a title. It Takes Two is very different in this regard as there are countless switches in playstyle throughout its runtime. I suppose as a foundation it is a couch co-op game that centers on solving puzzles to progress. However, this is a complete disservice to this incredibly creative game. Yes, you are solving puzzles, but each new area, sometimes even as often as each new checkpoint, you are handed the tools of new mechanics to play with. Each level itself will present you with new items or weapons that will be used to traverse and puzzle solve. They will also usually end with a boss fight, in which can only be defeated with the weapons you have been provided for that particular mission. The game never gets tedious as this constant change gives it an endlessly fresh experience. One minute you can be handed a rocket launcher and fuel, the next a clock to rewind time and the ability to clone yourself. There was one mission where I could grow into a giant or shrink into a tiny man while my partner could run on the ceiling. It wasn't just the abilities that changed, it was also the gameplay itself. Sometimes it would shift into a 2D platformer, or we were navigating a barrel down some rapids. Maybe we were riding on the back of spiders. There was one section where it turned into a top-down ARPG like a Diablo or a Path of Exile. My favorite gameplay slice though was when I was navigating a plane through an area that was constantly exploding around us, while my partner was on the back with a machine gun. It was very Death Star in A New Hope. But that wasn't the end. The mum character proceeds to jump onto the wing of the plane and fight an enemy arcade fighter style in 2D with the health bars and everything. We were just constantly blown away by how inventive this game was. It Takes Two is incredibly fun. Me and my other half were constantly laughing, smiling, and in awe of what we were playing. As I mentioned earlier, there are boss fights and each one is designed perfectly between challenge and sussing out how to use the tools you have been provided to defeat them. If you have strong weapons, this could be a show of brute force and hitting weak points. Or maybe it is more puzzle orientated and using certain tools to expose enemies to damage through other means. No two boss fights were the same. The traversal also changes, unsurprisingly. You have access to a grind or slide ability and a swing ability which stays with you for most of the game, in addition to platforming basics like jump, double jump, and air dash. Outside of this, you could be flying a plane, swimming underwater, ice skating across frozen plains, riding a train, riding on birds, gliding on a fidget spinner, floating in zero gravity, leaping on the backs of frogs, and many, many more things. It Takes Two is a co-op game and every single thing is designed to be done using two players, and it is designed beautifully. One person cannot progress without the other, and every puzzle, every enemy, every platforming section required both players to be involved. It was a fantastic experience to share with another. Visually, It Takes Two is perfect for the kind of game it is trying to be. You play as a wooden doll and a clay man, both of which I thought had cool designs. You interact with a lot of smaller creatures and toys, and especially with the toys you can see there has been a great deal of solid animation work to bring them to life. There is one particular section that involved a toy elephant that was equally visually distressing and stunning at the same time. I don't think I've ever experienced that before. The bosses were of course excellent, but the real standout was the environments, particularly the space level, the snow level, and the music level. You can often feel like you're on a trip, but then emerge into a vibrant Toy Story-like world. I was impressed on several occasions with the visuals. The performance itself was seamless, and I never noticed any hiccups in frames or crashes. Each level will present its own theme, and with this of course is music to accompany it. These are orchestral tracks which are for the most part forgettable, except the final level of the game where the main theme is music itself. You get thrown between smooth jazz to choppy electric guitars to club bass tracks and even a modern disco. It was awesome. The dialogue is also very good, and I even found it hilarious at times. The playable characters May and Cody have great reactions to the living things around them through their sassy and dry sense of humor. Dr. Hakim, who is a book that acts as your counselor throughout the game, I also thought was a barrel of laughs, and he has endless quippy lines. The voice acting is top class, from the main characters to the smallest of side characters. It Takes Two is a story about divorce and the impact it has. May and Cody, who are the mum and dad, announce to their little daughter Rose that they are separating at the beginning of the game. Through some magical tears, Rose manages to transform her parents into small dolls where they must overcome the challenges to make it back to her. There are ups and downs, and ultimately the writing points towards finding the root of the problem and resolving them, not just for their daughter but for themselves and for each other. Whilst I enjoyed the narrative and thought the presentation was good for the most part, my one small critique is that I thought the daughter herself could be a bit grating at times. That's not awful to say, is it? I suppose I just enjoyed the more mature take from May, Cody and Dr. Hakim as opposed to the little girl. But maybe I'm just being an awful person. There are plenty of mini games scattered throughout It Takes Two. They are all head to head, and me and my other half sprung at every opportunity to try and get bragging rights. The games vary in quality and fun factor, but they were highly enjoyable for the most part. We even played many of them multiple times to try and get higher scores, or just as we thought we could get a win over the other. There are also fun Easter eggs hidden in some levels that I won't spoil, but we certainly found a couple, which was a nice surprise. I should also mention that this game has massive replayability, as the two main characters play completely differently throughout the entire game. They never have the same abilities as the other, and they also have differing roles in the blockbuster moments. You could very easily play through this game twice, one as each parent. It Takes Two is Hazelight's best game to date and cements them as masters of the co-op scene. It is very easy to see how this game won a Game of the Year award back in 2021. There was just so many endlessly creative ideas, and the constant chopping and changing was a breath of fresh air. I didn't expect a co-op game to make it into my top 10 games of all time, but this has a very strong claim to that accolade now. I know it's only February, but this is the best game I've played this year. The only critiques I have are a slightly forgettable OST and the daughter being slightly annoying, but these are both extremely minor. If you are looking for a game that sports local co-op, I cannot recommend this enough. Even if you play it online with a friend, only one person needs to own the game. The other can jump in for free, which is a truly amazing feature. I am in awe of this title, and I just can't help but gush. It Takes Two gets a casual gamer score of 9.5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this game, or if you plan to try it now after this review. If you enjoyed this content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and for everything casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.